Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Roland Garros, triumphs for Alcaraz and Gauff, failures for Djokovic and Świątek. From May 25th to June 8th, the 124th French Open, the second Grand Slam tournament this year, was held on the courts of the Roland Garros Sports Complex. The Melbet official website, the best platform for tennis betting, sums up the results of the most prestigious clay competition. New records. The tournament's first landmark achievement was set long before the qualifying round began. This season, the total prize pool of the French major reached a record €56.352 million, 5.21% more than in 2024. From a sporting perspective, the French Open 2025 will be remembered for the qualification of the first and second-ranked players in the men's and women's finals. Nothing like this has happened at Grand Slam tournaments since the U.S. Open 2013, and on the Parisian courts since 1984. Men's singles final. The struggle between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz is already being called a new tennis classic. The next 8 to 10 years will probably be dominated by the 23-year-old Italian and the 22-year-old Spaniard. The head-to-head clashes between Jannik and Carlos are a topic for a separate review. Before the decisive match in Paris, the H2H statistics stood at 8-5 in favor of Alcaraz. On May 18th, these tennis players faced off in the Rome Masters final, where Sinner lost to his main competitor, 6-7 and 1-6. 3 weeks later, the ATP ranking leader desperately wanted to avenge the unfortunate defeat. The Melbet official website analysts estimated the opponent's chances to be almost equal. In the pre-match, Sinner's potential success was quoted at 1.94, while possible victory for Alcaraz was given the odds of 1.89. Despite a 3-month absence from game practice due to disqualification, Jannik won the first 2 sets in a tough fight, 6-4, 7-6, and had already imagined raising the prestigious trophy above his head. However, men's singles and Grand Slam tournaments are played to 3 victories, while the spectators on the Philippe Chatrier court and fans in front of their screens wanted to enjoy a tense 5-set match. In the third set, Alcaraz managed to turn the tide of the clash, 6-4, and the saving lifeline no longer seemed so thin. In the fourth set, the Spanish tennis player won the tiebreak, 7-3. Not only tying the overall score, but also gaining a psychological advantage before the decisive set. During the third tiebreak, upset Sinner was losing with a score of 0-7 and ultimately won only 2 rallies. Alcaraz defended his Roland Garros title with a fantastic comeback victory, but remained the world's number 2. Women's singles final. Aryna Sabalenka and Coco Gauff reached the Roland Garros final for the first time in their careers. Despite being tied 5-5 in their head-to-head matchups, the Belarusian was considered the clear favorite for the decisive clash, with odds of 1.42. In the first set, Sabalenka narrowly defeated her opponent in the tiebreak, 7-5. In the following 2 sets, the American proved that pre-match odds mean nothing in sports. Aryna once again lacked psychological stability, which was reflected in the number of unforced errors, 70 compared to her competitor's 30. The 21-year-old American secured a comeback victory with a total score of 6-7, 6-2, 6-4, and earned €2,550 million in prize money. The defeat did not affect Sabalenka's top position in the WTA rankings, and her lead over second-place Gauff is still impressive, almost 3,500 points. Men's doubles. Marcel Granollers and Horacio Ceballos specialize in doubles. These tennis players have collectively lost 7 Grand Slam finals. On June 7th, quantity finally turned into quality. The Spaniard and Argentinian won a major for the first time in their careers, predictably beating the British duo Joe Salisbury/Neil Skupski in the final, 6-0, 6-7, 7-5. Women's doubles. Last year, Jasmine Paolini reached the Roland Garros and Wimbledon finals, but did not become a champion. This season, the 29-year-old Italian decided to win the Grand Slam alongside her 38-year-old compatriot Sara Errani, and achieved her goal. Jasmine and Sara defeated the pair Ana Danilina, Kazakhstan, / Alexandra Krunic, Serbia, in 3 sets, 6-4, 2-6, 6-1. It is worth noting that the highly experienced Errani took home 2 trophies from Paris, winning the mixed doubles with Andrea Vavasori. Sensations and breakthroughs. The relative sensation at Roland Garros can be considered the elimination of the Queen of Clay, Iga Świątek, in the semifinals. The Polish tennis player has not performed at her best and currently ranks only 7th in the ATP standings. The appearances of the world's number 1 and number 2 in the most prestigious finals suggest one thing. The French Open 2025 did not reveal any new stars. Novak Djokovic graced the tournament with his presence, but lost to Sinner in the semifinals. The Serb's time is over, and his dream of winning the 25th Grand Slam remains unfulfilled. Alexander Zverev crashed out in the quarterfinal stage, and last year's lost final remains the German's highest achievement at a clay major. The Grand Slam season continues. In June, the Grand Slam tournament series crossed the equator. Next on the schedule are Wimbledon and the U.S. Open. The Melbet official website will provide a wide line and favorable odds for matches featuring the world's best tennis players, as well as a promo with top prizes. Watch the main tennis events of the year together with the reliable bookmaker. Beneath the brooding skies of Paris and the rust-colored courts of staid Roland Garros, history did what it always does best at the French Open. It rewrote itself. The 2025 edition of Roland Garros was never going to be ordinary. A new generation hovered on the brink of dominance, while legends clung to their empires built on sweat and brilliance. What unfolded was a tournament of contrasts, of new flames igniting, of old icons faltering, and of the red clay becoming the stage where fate tiptoed across every baseline. The crown for Carlos. Carlos Alcaraz walked onto the Philippe Chatrier court as a prince, but by the end of 2 blistering weeks, he left crowned as King of Clay. The 22-year-old Spaniard played with a poetry that paid homage to his idol, Rafael Nadal, yet every shot screamed of a new era. There were drop shots that died inches from the net, forehands that ripped through the Paris air like thunder, and an emotional resilience that belied his youth. In the final, he faced Alexander Zverev, who had marched through the draw with clinical precision. But Alcaraz brought chaos. Beautiful electric chaos. The match went 5 sets, as all great epics do. But in the decisive set, Alcaraz found a gear that only the greatest possess. Sliding on clay like it was his birthright, he outlasted Zverev in brutal rallies and broke the German's serve with a running forehand winner that will be replayed for decades. As he fell to the court, soaked in sweat and dust, the crowd roared in Spanish and French and universal awe. Roland Garros had a new champion, and perhaps a new era. Coco Gauff, a queen comes of age. If Alcaraz was poetry, Coco Gauff was power. The American phenom, just 21, had long been dubbed the future. In Paris, she became the present. For Gauff, the journey to the title wasn't a procession but a pilgrimage. She faced match points in the quarterfinals. Her semifinal against Aryna Sabalenka was a war of will and muscle. And in the final, she faced none other than the defending champion and world number 1, Iga Świątek. Świątek had never lost a Roland Garros final. Gauff had never beaten her. But streaks, like empires, fall eventually. On a cool Sunday afternoon, Gauff played the match of her life. She served with ferocity, her backhand laser-precise, her defense impenetrable. Świątek, usually the clay queen, looked rattled. Her timing was off. Her shots lacked their usual venom. Gauff won in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, and the tennis world stood still. Tears ran down her face as she held the coupe Suzanne Lenglen. "I've dreamed of this since I was a kid," she said. "But this is bigger than a dream. This is real." It was real and historic. Novak Djokovic, the empire crumbles. On the opposite end of triumph lay Novak Djokovic, not fallen, but fading. The 37-year-old Serbian legend entered the tournament nursing a knee that whispered of betrayal and a body that no longer bent to his iron will. He battled through early rounds, pushing through pain and sheer willpower. But by the 3rd round, the whispers became screams. Against Lorenzo Musetti, a tricky Italian with flair, Djokovic grimaced more than he grinned. He moved slower, his footwork stiff, his serve lacking punch. And for the first time in over a decade, Roland Garros saw Djokovic leave the stage without ceremony, eliminated before the second week. The silence was deafening. Many wondered, was this the end? Djokovic waved to the crowd, his expression unreadable. He hadn't announced a retirement, but the atmosphere felt funereal. The man who once stormed Paris with an unshakable gaze now looked mortal. In many ways, it was a dignified failure, not dramatic, not scandalous, just a legend outpaced by time and its relentless march. Świątek, the unraveling of a titan. For Iga Świątek, the defeat cut deeper. She had made Paris her fortress, winning 3 of the last 4 titles, blending footwork, spin, and mental fortitude into an almost unbeatable cocktail on clay. In 2025, she arrived as the odds-on favorite, having dominated the WTA clay swing. But sport cares little for past resumes. After cruising through her first matches, Świątek encountered a resurgent Jelena Ostapenko in the quarterfinals. Their match was a reminder of how even the best can be disarmed by aggression and unpredictability. Ostapenko swung with freedom and audacity, and Świątek, rattled, folded in straight sets. Fans watched in disbelief. Iga, invincible on clay, gone? In her press conference, she spoke with grace. Losses are part of the journey, she said. Sometimes you learn more in failure than in victory. It was a rare human moment from a player so often robotic in her dominance. Generation shift. The deeper narrative of Roland Garros 2025 wasn't just about winners and losers. It was about transition. Tennis has clung tightly to its golden era. Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Serena, Venus. But in Paris, the torch was passed, definitively and dramatically. Alcaraz, when confirmed, he was no longer next. He is now. Gauff, too, shed the potential label. They are leaders of a generation not afraid of the spotlight, but drawn to it. And the legends? They're not gone. Djokovic may return. Świątek will surely rebound. But their dominance, their unassailable aura, is fractured. Paris marked the moment the castle gates opened and the new monarchs stepped in. A tournament etched in clay. Roland Garros has always been the most emotional of the slams. The clay reveals character. It demands patience, endurance, artistry. It grinds players down until only their purest self remains. In 2025, we saw that process in full bloom. We saw the rise of champions who didn't just win, they transformed. Alcaraz became Nadal's successor not in name, but in spirit. Gauff became more than a phenom. She became the face of women's tennis. We saw the vulnerability of icons. Djokovic's body, Świątek's confidence, both unravel before our eyes. And with it, a reminder that greatness is not infinite, but cyclical. We saw the clay not just as a surface, but as a stage, a proving ground where reputations are built and shattered. Conclusion, the clay remembers. As the final ball was struck and the Parisian crowd faded into the Seine breeze, Roland Garros once again reminded us why it is more than a tournament. It is a mirror, showing us the truth of where tennis is and where it's going. For Carlos Alcaraz and Coco Gauff, the future has arrived. For Novak Djokovic and Iga Świątek, the road diverges, one perhaps winding to an end, the other toward reinvention. And for the rest of us, we were witnesses to greatness, to heartbreak, to change. In the red clay of Roland Garros,